wrestle back for it, and trying to get there, and to get a trigger pull of a shot that went wide that time was Goodrow. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup.
And live from the WQAQ studio at Quinnipiac University, you're listening to Infinite Sports Radio on this Tuesday evening. I thank you for joining us. I'm Kenneth Grunfelder along with Ben Upson. And as you just heard, last night the Tampa Bay Lightning took down the Dallas Stars in 6 games, winning 2-0 and capturing the Stanley Cup. And, you know, you got to give the Stars a lot of credit. Not a lot of people expected them to get to this point. But the Lightning just were, from the get-go, it seemed to be the best team, and the best team did win the championship, and that concludes the NHL season, which is crazy. You know, obviously, between the NHL and the NBA carrying out the bubble formats, they were obviously very successful, and the NHL did a great job. And last night it capped off what was great playoffs for the NHL, and hopefully next season everything starts getting back to normal when they kick off in, I guess we were talking about it last night, somewhere around January. I was hearing you were saying, Ben.
That's the plan according to Commissioner Gary Bettman. Obviously, they don't want too quick of a turnaround. Obviously, with what's been going on this year. But the plan is supposedly that they're going to try and, cram all 82 regular season games into the schedule next year, which that would be pretty impressive to do that, since the timeline is, the traditional timeline is what they're aiming for next year, to get back on the April to June schedule compared to, July through September.
Yeah, so, and obviously, with the Lightning last year getting the President's Trophy and getting swept, by Columbus last year in the playoffs, it was definitely good for them to, rewrite the wrong in that aspect and obviously capture the championship last night. It was definitely very strange, especially because, with no fans and, how they presented the trophy, obviously with people walking out in masks holding the trophy. It was very odd, but you know what? Hey, the NHL did a great job, and you know what? Hopefully things are back to normal next year. It's definitely going to be tough if they're trying to jam 82 games in when they start, if they do start in January. But we'll see. I mean, but the playoffs were great. Hopefully, for your sake, the Rangers do good, and for my sake, the Islanders are back there next year. So we'll see what happens. But, for the Stars, they gave it they tried. But, obviously, like we said, the Lightning definitely looked like the best team. And obviously getting up close and personal with them when they were playing the Islanders, they did look like the best team, and they proved it. And,
the Tampa Bay Lightning, they were my second team in the East behind the Boston Bruins. I really thought the Bruins were still the best team in the East and that they could make it all the way. And then in the West, I thought, it was going to be either Colorado or Vegas. And Dallas defied those odds, and they didn't beat just Colorado in 7 games, but they beat the Vegas Golden Knights in 5. It was an impressive run, to say the least, for an offense that really struggled, throughout most of the playoffs. It was really the goaltending of Anton Khudobin, the 34-year-old veteran, and just a great defensive effort by the Stars. I don't think, a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people were expecting Dallas to get all the way to the Cup final this year. It really was a heck of a run. You're going to look back. Joe Pavelski obviously setting the record now for the most playoff goals by a U.S.-born defender, which is a great achievement, by the way. Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Alexander Radulov, Miro Heiskanen, they all had great playoffs. And hats off to Anton Khudobin. It's pretty difficult to, get in the net as a 34-year-old and be able to have multiple 35, 40-save games in the Cup final. Because he had 35 in Game 1, 38, I believe, in Game 4. So, and the Lightning were just the better team. I'm sorry, they were. If you look at their top line, just on paper, between Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, Andre Palat, Victor Hedman, and glad to see Steven Stamkos come back. And, of course, he came back for 3 minutes in Game 4, and he scored a goal. That was pretty amazing.
Scored a goal.
Yep. What a return to the ice for Stammer, who was out since February dealing with a hip injury. But the Lightning were just a better team. Obviously, we saw after the game ended before the Cup presentation, Victor Hedman won the Conn Smythe Trophy, and I believe he was just the 10th defender in NHL history to have multiple block shot games. I don't know. It was something like that. I didn't read into it. I mean, personally, I thought it should have gone to Braden Point. I mean, if you think about it, Kenny, in the Columbus series in the first round, he was the one that won Game 1 in that marathon 5 overtime game. He wrapped up the series in Game 5 with the game-winning overtime goal, and he had 14 total up in the bubble during these playoffs. He was on so many pucks. It was amazing, the effort that the Lightning had. And, you know, on every power play, if the Lightning are on a power play, you got to watch out. And, I mean, you know...
Yeah, especially watching in the Islanders series.
I was just about to say, as an Islanders fan, for you, Kenny, and anyone else, you know, listening who may be an Islanders fan, you guys should be happy that you took the Lightning to 6 games. Like, the Islanders have great coaching with Barry Trotz, obviously, now on their side, and it helps. It really helps. I think the Islanders might have honestly been swept if it weren't for Barry Trotz's logic of hockey and whatnot. And the Islanders did what they could. They'll be relevant next year. You know, if it weren't for the shutdown, who knows where they would have been. But,
probably not in the playoffs.
But in the end, you know, a great run for the Tampa Bay Lightning, a cup well-deserved, one that they've been long waiting for after losing to Chicago in the Cup final in 2015. And hats off to the NHL. We know the NBA Finals are on the horizon, and that they're also done with their bubble very soon. But the NHL has done it. 2 months that they were able to stage those playoffs up in Canada.
And no positive tests, nothing. Everything went fine for them.
Exactly. So hats off to the league. Just an incredible effort and a job well done by so many. We're glad that we were able to see these playoffs in 2020. And like we mentioned, NBA on the horizon. But yeah, hats off to the Lightning. Great cup run.
Yep. And so we'll transfer over to the other bubble format that is taking place, and that is the NBA, with the NBA Finals tipping off tomorrow night, whatever you want to call it. Tipping off tomorrow night. It'll be the Miami Heat versus the Los Angeles Lakers. So LeBron James is going up against his old team. Pretty much nobody on the Miami Heat, besides Udonis Haslem and obviously Eric Spoelstra, the head coach, from that, you know, from the championship days with Miami, is currently on that roster. So that's pretty crazy, and it's crazy that Udonis Haslem is still on the team. You know, obviously players look up to him, and he's kind of like a player's coach, and in some sort of aspect. So that's why they kind of like having him around. It's going to be very interesting to see. Obviously, the Heat, you know, they really surprised a lot of people in the bubble. You know, taking down the Bucks and now just taking down the Celtics, sweeping the Pacers in the first round. They look really good with Jimmy Butler and obviously guys like Tyler Hero stepping up. You know, the Heat are definitely going to give the Lakers a tough time, but I think ultimately, and we have the Yankees game on right now, and Aaron Judge just hit a 2-run homer.
Let's go!
To start off the top of the first. We wanted to get into that, but all right. So good start for the Yankees on that front. Anyway, so with that, we'll get into that in a little bit. But with the NBA Finals, I think that this could get pushed to 7 games. I think it will be. I think the Heat have really proved to be a very feisty team, and I think they can definitely, you know, push the Lakers to 7. It's going to be tough, but I think they could do it. I think it should be a great series, but ultimately I think the Lakers are going to win the finals. I think with obviously the Kobe Bryant stuff still looming large, I think ultimately that's going to motivate the Lakers enough to propel them to another championship and LeBron getting his 4th ring. And it should be a great series.
Totally agree, Kenny. Jumping back to the Eastern Conference Finals between Boston and Miami, you look overall at all the games they played. First of all, in Game 1 in that overtime game, we're never going to forget the Bam Adebayo block. That was the moment of the series, honestly, all the way back in Game 1. Just an incredible block on Jason Tatum. If Tatum made that bucket, who knows what would have happened? It would have been a 1-point game. But that ultimately would have sealed the deal for the Heat in Game 1. Also in, I believe it was Game 4. I'm pretty sure, Game 4. Tyler Hero put up 37 points for the Miami Heat on, if I could find the box. But, Tyler Hero, of course, 20 years old, came out of Kentucky. All those John Calipari coach players always, seem to do well in the NBA. We've already seen it with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jahlil Okafor was in the NBA for a while. Don't know actually what happened to him. But
I think he's on the Pelicans now.
Okafor. It's Okafor on the Pelicans. Yeah, I think you're right. That seems right. But yeah, Tyler Hero, though, 37 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists in that Game 4. That was huge. What a series for him. Bam Adebayo had multiple 30-point games, and in Game 6 as well. Just a collapse, too, for the Celtics down the stretch in Game 6. At the 6:16 mark in the fourth quarter, they were up 100-99. And from that point, the Heat ended the game on a 22-8 run, which was depressing. That's unacceptable in the finals, or in the conference finals if you're the Boston Celtics. The Celtics had the pieces, though, I will say. I thought that they could have been a finals team. I thought that they could have beaten Miami. But, like you said, Kenny, Miami showed up. They've played with a lot of heart in the bubble. And it's really, most of the reason why they've made it, to the NBA Finals now. And it should be an interesting series against the Lakers. Also, this is a little bit of a creepy statistic. We talk about the whole thing about, the Lakers doing it for Kobe and all that. But it is oddly a familiar situation to 2009 when the Lakers beat the Magic in the NBA Finals. So, LeBron going for his 4th ring in Orlando. In 2009, Kobe was going for his 4th ring in Orlando. And no less, the Lakers also defeated the Nuggets on Saturday night on the 8-month anniversary of Kobe's death. The stars are aligning right now for what would be a story, a fairy tale story coming true. I'm almost pulling for the Lakers to win the championship because, that, Kobe will be watching, of course, and it was just a sad day back in January, before all this shut down, and the Lakers were on a roll. LeBron jumped over, I think it was Kobe, on the all-time points scored list the night before he passed in that tragic helicopter crash. It's terrible. But, yeah, Lakers Heat in the finals, Kenny. I agree with your point, though, about 7 games. It's going to be tough and gritty, and the Heat are going to have to earn it because going against LeBron and Anthony Davis is definitely not an easy task. We saw that with the Nuggets. By the way, shout out to the Nuggets. Great season. Unfortunately fell short. But yeah, I'll take the Lakers in 7. They are the better team. But you know what? It would not surprise me either if, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero all show up for the Heat. Those are their ingredients to win. They have the pieces. They have the determination, the drive. The Heat might upset the Lakers, but we'll see. Game 1 of the NBA Finals tomorrow at 9 Eastern on ABC.
It should be a good series. And honestly, credit to Jimmy Butler. him bouncing around the league these past couple years, and now it seems like he's finally found his home in Miami, and the guy is an assassin. I mean, he's a cold-blooded killer out there. He doesn't shy away from the big moment, and I think he's going to have a great series, and I think they're going to continue to play well. It's going to be tough, but I think they can definitely push it to 7 games, and we'll see what happens. But it should be a great series, and definitely going to want to tune in. Also, I do want to mention we are going to end a little bit early tonight. Obviously, there's a presidential debate on tonight, not to get political or anything, but...
Oh, there is? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so we're going to end a little bit early tonight around the 8:40 mark, something like that, because we do kind of want to watch that. A lot of people are going to tune in tonight. About, I think, like 100 million people or something like that.
That's what they're expecting.
This is going
to be a big audience tonight across the national TV networks.
Yeah, so it should be very interesting.
Now, look, not like we're trying to, disregard the Yankees. We love our Yankees. But at the same time, it's a pretty historic year, and, it does matter, who we vote as our next leader of the nation, of course.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight. Get your popcorn ready and relax and just enjoy it, because it should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun, and it should be very interesting. So yeah, so we'll be ending a little bit early, about 20 minutes earlier than we usually do. But let's get to the MLB playoffs, and then we'll go to the NFL. So obviously the baseball playoffs have now started. A couple games have concluded today. The Astros getting the 4-1 victory over the Minnesota Twins. The Astros scoring 3 runs in the 9th inning to beat the Twins. And then the White Sox haven't been in the playoffs since 2008, beating the Oakland Athletics. I can't speak today. The Oakland Athletics 4-1 as well. And right now the Rays and the Blue Jays are in the top of the 7th. The Jays have 2 guys on base. The Rays are up 1-0 in that game. And the Yankees are up 2-0 over the Indians with the Aaron Judge 2-run homer. So they're off to a good start. Hopefully Garrett Cole can pitch good and get us to the bullpen. And hopefully the bullpen doesn't screw it up. And hopefully the Yankees win tonight.
DJ LeMahieu, what a year. What a year. And that was what set up that Aaron Judge 2-run homer.
That's right. That's right.
And he
to the opposite field.
He did win the batting title, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I did see that, yes.
Luke Voigt won the home run title, and Luke Voigt, not Luke Voigt, I just said Luke Voigt. DJ LeMahieu won the batting title. They were, there was a stat, something like they were the first pair of teammates to do so in an X amount of years. I don't remember the stat, but, They were incredible, and honestly, really the 2 key guys that, LeMahieu did get hurt early on in the season, but was able to come back. And if it wasn't for those 2 guys, I mean, who knows where the Yankees would be? I mean, they were there through it all pretty much. Well, if not LeMahieu, Luke Voigt. I'm pretty sure he never got injured, so he was there through the 16-6 start, and then the collapse, and then the 10-0 winning streak, and then the recent struggles that the Yankees have had, but. If the Yankees can win tonight, that'd be huge. And obviously, with the best of 3 game series, and if you can get tonight with Cole on the mound and have Tanaka, who's basically your best postseason pitcher, and he's proved that over the past couple of years, the Yankees are in good shape. As of right now, the game is still, there's plenty of baseball left to be played. But obviously going up against Shane Bieber, who's most likely going to win the Cy Young Award this year. This is big for the Yankees, and hopefully they can get it done tonight.
Yeah, Kenny, so you mentioned those other wildcard games earlier. First to start off in the Astros-Twins game this afternoon, this was a really slow game, for like the first 6 innings. There were no major opportunities for scoring. The Twins got their 1 run, I believe it was back in the 3rd or the 4th inning, when Max Kepler scored off a Nelson Cruz double that hit the base of the wall. And which, by the way, I don't even know. The Twins might not have even scored that run if Josh Reddick wasn't being a little lazy out there in the outfield. I mean, I get it. It took a weird carom, but it was a good throw by Josh Reddick, too. But just a second.
It was a bang play.
Yeah, just a second or two too late. But talk about a great day for Framber Valdez for the Houston Astros. He tossed between him and Zach Greinke, who was the starter today for the Astros, who, by the way, pitched actually really good. Between Greinke and Valdez, 1 run, 4 hits, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts. That's a great day for Valdez, especially as a pitcher who struggled during the regular season as well out of the bullpen. So a big 4-1 win for the Astros. And Kenny, I don't know what you saw of the White Sox-A's game, but what an absolute dominant performance from Lucas Giolito. This guy is just unbelievable. And unfortunately, with Shane Bieber, who's had a phenomenal year as well, it's really hard to say. I don't think Giolito will end up with the AL Cy Young Award.
Yeah, I think ultimately it is going to be Bieber.
It should be Shane Bieber in Cleveland, but
good for Giolito though, because obviously a few years ago it didn't look like that trade with the White Sox in the Adam Eaton deal didn't look like it was living up to. He was living up to his potential, but now he looks like one of the best pitchers in the league.
Right. Yeah, and he had a perfect game going through 6 innings today as well. He retired 18 straight A's batters. Ultimately got pulled in the 8th after giving up a couple hits, but still 7 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts on 100 pitches. Overall, a great day for Giolito. And then on the offensive side for the White Sox, it was Jose Abreu, Adam Engel, and Yasmani Grandal all hitting home runs today. Engel and Grandal had solo shots. Abreu was a 2-run home run. So a big win for the White Sox. They were one of my upset picks in these wild card series. I had them. I did have the Twins though, and speaking of which, got to mention that it is now the 17th straight loss for the Twins in a postseason game. 17.
Yeah, my friends just before they texted that in our sports chat. That's crazy.
And this wasn't even against the Yankees.
No.
So it's unfortunate. The Twins just they literally have a curse right now. And
Garrett Cole scoreless first inning.
Was just about to say update. Yankees go 1-2-3 in the bottom of the first. They're going to the second. Gio Urshela, Gleyber Torres, Brett Gardner due up, and obviously a great start for the Yankees as well. So wild card day 1. Look. Tim Kirkjian and Carl Ravitch were discussing this during the Astros-Twins game about the expanded...
The playoff format? Yes,
about the format.
I was listening to that, yeah.
And, I'm fine with it for this year, like Kirkjian said, but I don't know about next year. I agree that the MLB could expand to 12, maybe even 14, but 16 is just too much. And I'm sorry, but the Yankees, but the Dodgers and the Rays should have had buys as the 1 seeds. But that's not up for me to decide. That was the MLB. Either way, it's crazy. We're going to see 8 games tomorrow, folks. 8 games. So nobody call me. I'll be hibernating.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is happening this week, obviously. Stanley Cup ending last night. NBA Finals is tomorrow. We got a presidential debate. Thursday Night Football's this week. That's going to be a disaster between the Jets and the Broncos.
Oh, goodness.
And obviously, in between all that is the MLB playoffs. It's crazy. Obviously, looking at these series now that they have started, I am with you. I think the White Sox with Keuchel and Giolito, I think they could seal the deal tomorrow. And obviously, the A's don't have good starting pitching. And obviously, Matt Chapman going down earlier in the year definitely kills the offense. So I think the White Sox get it done tomorrow. The Astros now, I was with you as well with the Twins. The Astros, listen, they've been there before, and they might seal the deal tomorrow as well. The Rays and the Blue Jays is going to be pretty interesting, but I think ultimately the Rays are going to take that series, and Obviously, I don't want to make a prediction with the Yankees because I'm more on the pessimistic side of things when it comes to them, and you're on the optimistic side of things. But I think the Yankees can get it done. So obviously, you got to go with your heart and say the Yankees are going to get it done and move on to the division series. And then looking at the National League matchups for tomorrow, I think the Dodgers, the Brewers. Listen, they kind of got lucky getting that final spot. But I think the Dodgers, they ultimately will seal the deal, move on to the next round. San Diego Padres, I really like them. I think they're a dark horse in these playoffs. I really do, and I think that they probably have the best chance to top the Dodgers in the playoffs. I think they're going to get it done against the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals, they're very inconsistent, and I just like the Padres. I love their lineup. I just Machado, and I think was Hosmer injured?
Not exactly sure. But I think you're right. I think you're right.
Because they did acquire Mitch Moreland at the trade deadline, so that was probably why. So obviously you have Tatis, you have Machado, with Paddock in the rotation. I just think they're with Will Myers. I just think I really like this team a lot, and I think. I think they could definitely make some noise in the playoffs. I see them beating the Cardinals in the first round.
Yeah, and I tell you what, this team could definitely challenge the Dodgers. By the way they've been playing, they have a lot of momentum. And, after the A's game finished, Mark Teixeira was talking about on Baseball Tonight. He's like, generally, the favorites, because he was talking about the Twins' losing streak.
Yeah.
He's like, generally the better teams are the favorites to, win. And he said, with the Twins, he's like, this is an incredible streak. I never would have thought, this would have happened. But he's like, this is baseball. Baseball, the favorites do not win. It's literally, anybody's game when it comes to baseball. Because you have, just because you might take a lead, you got to finish it. There's no clock in baseball. You have, well, not all the time in the world, but you have time. If your team goes down, there's a chance that you can come back. And Rays Blue Jays is going to be interesting, Kenny. The Rays shouldn't even be up right now. The Rays scored their one run in the fourth inning off of a Robbie Ray wild pitch that bounced in the dirt and rolled through Danny Jensen's legs, which allowed Randy Arozarena to
the same
come home.
Danny Jansen with the 185 batting average hitting a grand slam off of Adam Ottavino against the Yankees a few weeks back.
Yeah. 143. 143. Remember that number. Yeah, and those are two names, by the way, that I've learned just, 2-3 weeks ago. Randy Arozarena and Denny Jansen.
Yeah.
Never heard of either of them before. Arozarena with the Rays and Jansen with the Blue Jays. Never heard of either of them.
What I will say is it is encouraging to see that right now the Yankees have a lead. Right now I think they're focused. And let's see what happens. Hopefully they don't have to see that. Well, I would love to play the Astros and beat them. The Astros obviously are not the powerhouse that they were the last couple of years, obviously without the trash cans and the buzzers and all that. And without Justin Verlander, without Garrett Cole, we got him on our side now. I don't see the Astros getting that far, but you never know. They still have that. They still got that lineup, and a lot of those guys did have down years, but hey, they could turn it on at any time. So we'll see. But then looking at the last two National League series, you got the Chicago Cubs and the Miami Marlins.
That's going to be an interesting series.
It definitely will be. This is the first time these teams have played in the playoffs since that infamous 2003 NLCS, the Steve Bartman game.
Yeah, that was a wild
and
incident.
the Marlins obviously went on to beat the Yankees in the World Series, and hey, they beat the Yankees to make the playoffs.
And that was the Florida Marlins. This is now the Miami
with the team
Marlins.
that had Miguel Cabrera and Derek Lee and Luis Castillo and Pudge Rodriguez. All these guys, nobody from that team is on this team right now. And it's amazing when you think about how many of guys that they traded and didn't bring back. When you go back to 2017 with Christian Yelich and Stanton and Ozuna and D. Gordon and JT Realmuto and Derek Dietrich. And obviously the tragedy with Jose Fernandez passing away from the boating accident. All of that, and now you basically have a whole new roster that Derek Jeter has kind of molded into his own image. And they're in the playoffs. It's incredible. Now, albeit it is 60 games, but, good for them.
Yeah, and the Florida teams, by the way, are living it up right now in the sports world. You have the Tampa Bay Lightning, who just won the Cup last night. I hear there's supposedly going to be a parade, so good news for the city of Tampa. Boy, it was wild down there after that game. I saw some video. The Tampa Bay Rays, like we just mentioned, they're playing Toronto in the wild card series. They have a good chance to make a deep run. We'll see what happens. And the Miami Heat are in the NBA Finals starting tomorrow against the LA Lakers, and the Miami Marlins are also in the playoffs against the Cubs. And watch out, they can definitely upset the Cubs, especially with the Cubs offense being a little lackluster coming down the stretch here. So if you live in Florida right now and you're a fan of your Florida sports teams, you're having a great time right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the Cubs ultimately do win that series, but it would be crazy if they win it. Anything can happen.
Yeah, definitely. And this is an MLB playoffs that we've never seen before. It's going to be one heck of a journey. Hopefully we see fans for the championship series and the World Series in Texas.
I think we will.
I'd certainly hope so.
I'm just surprised that at this point they didn't allow fans back, because obviously when you look, the NFL, they started bringing fans in. You think baseball would have did that
at outdoor stadiums? Yeah, you would have thought that. Yeah, I know. A little strange, but
it's Rob Manfred, our good buddy. So
either way, piece of metal. Either way, this is something unique. It's just like every other sports league that's wrapping up. There will be an NBA championship without fans, and fingers crossed, we probably will have an MLB championship with limited fans. So at least there will be fans in attendance for one of the major sports leagues in 2020. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. Right now, so far so good for the Yankees. So when we come back, we will talk about our New York Giants. So you don't want to miss that. So stick around. We'll be right back here on Infinite Sports Radio.
3 field goals. That's all we're going to say to tease you guys.
All right, and we are back here on Infinite Sports Radio, about an hour left in our radio program. So let's talk about our New York Giants, shall we? Going up against the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. First 2 games, obviously they lost, but they looked competitive. And going up against the 49ers team that has suffered a ravage of injuries, basically their entire roster was out for this game.
There was no Jimmy Garoppolo, Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Dee Ford,
Solomon Thomas, Richard Sherman,
Nick Bosa. I mean, the Niners had 10 people missing. 10 of their starters were out.
And Nick Mullins got the start. Obviously, the Giants played him in 2018.
A name we were starting to learn 2 years ago.
That's right.
Nick Mullins. No,
That's
everyone
right.
is like, who?
The Giants obviously won that game. The 49ers weren't as good of a team as they are right now. And the Giants flat out got embarrassed.
It was one of the most
36-9. Not even getting in the red zone at all.
Kenny, it was one of the most pathetic efforts that the Giants, I think, have ever had. And I've been watching the Giants. You've been watching them longer than me, but I've been watching them, since that Super Bowl 46 season, and that was one of the worst games ever. I was actually with my dad at Eli's, and we were just shaking our heads the whole time because it was pathetic. It really was.
I mean, everywhere you look at it, and especially on third down. I mean, we keep talking about this. How many times on third down can the Giants just not get off the field?
I mean, the 49ers had at least, 7 or 8 third down conversions? The Bears had 9. So that's amazing. And, the defense also made Brandon Ayuk look like, the next the next Sony Michel, because like
The next Sony Michel, that's such a weird player to use.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's the first one that came to mind, I guess. Not saying Sony Michel's bad at all, but you know.
He had a nice game on Sunday, though.
He did. He actually did.
All the Patriots running backs had good games on Sunday.
Yeah,
but
they
let's
look
get back to the
good
Giants.
against the Raiders.
Let's get back to the Giants. So let's look at the quarterbacks that they have played now for the first 3 weeks of the season. Ben Roethlisberger, obviously coming back from that terrible elbow injury that he sustained last season, that obviously had him out for the rest of the year. And Jose Ramirez just hit a ball off the wall. I thought that was going to go out. Okay, so we got a runner at second, 2 outs. All right, so we can exhale.
Thought that was
Anyway, so Ben Roethlisberger just coming back from a huge elbow injury that kept him out all last season. Giants could not get anything done week 1. Last week they go up against Mitchell Trubisky, who this past Sunday got benched for Nick Foles. And Nick Mullins.
And we're going to get to this later, but the Atlanta Falcons, we don't even know where to begin with them.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. But, I mean, what happened now? The first 2 weeks, the Giants looked a lot better than they have in years past. They looked competent. And this past week, I mean, what do you take away from this game? And Joe Judge, after the game, saying, I got to look at the tape, the film, whatever. It's the same responses that we were getting the last 2 years.
And in the first half, the Giants had 7 minutes and 23 seconds of time of possession. That's their fewest minutes in time of possession since 2000. 20 years. And they had the ball 7 minutes out of the 30 in the first half. And total for the game, I'm looking at it, 20. 231 total yards compared to the 49ers, 420. Oh, and by the way, 343 of those total yards were all to Nick Mullins. We made Nick Mullins look really good. I mean, this was so bad. It was such a bad game for the Giants. And there we go, Kenny. 8 for 12, the 49ers were on third downs. Unacceptable. And as for passing, Daniel Jones looked bad.
Horrible.
He was terrible. Horrible. That's the word.
He was terrible.
That's the word.
Now, you could say, well, he didn't have a lot of time, which is fair. But first of all, he threw that horrible interception after the 49ers. McKinnon scored that touchdown with, I think it was like 1:32 left. Giants get the ball back. And then he throws that interception and gives the 49ers another 3 points right before the half. You know, his decision-making just hasn't looked that good the first 3 games of the season.
And this is another game with turnovers. Turnovers are killing the Giants. It's terrible. Daniel Jones is not... He's not looking
looks like
promising.
He's regressing.
Seriously, he does. I mean,
that is not good, especially because of where we drafted him last year and what was expected of him coming into this season. And he looks terrible.
And
he looks really, really bad.
Hopefully this is just, some...
He was more effective on the ground. He had 49 rushing yards, which...
Yep.
That's good. You see, like... At least that's something that's different about this offense now that Eli is gone. But other than that, I mean, the running game, other than Daniel Jones, was non-existent. You bring in Devontae Freeman. He only had 10 yards rushing. Wayne Gallman, 7. Deion Lewis had 1 carry for 0 yards.
Nothing.
And the Giants just signed Alfred Morris.
Yeah, the running game is non-existent. Non-existent. The Giants' O-line cannot run block. They can pass block better than run block. But even still, it's not that good. And Kenny, we're talking about how Daniel Jones might be regressing. Well, I sure hope that this is just a temporary phase and that these are like some last bits of growing pains, because this is Jones's second year now. He shouldn't be carelessly committing turnovers, and it's not good. And like you said, obviously it's hard. when you have a terrible O-line that gives you maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds to pass the ball. So hurried. Everything is so hurried. But this was bad. I mean, Darius Slayton was our leading receiver. 3 catches for 53 yards. Otherwise, Golden Tate, Evan Ingram only had 36 and 22 respectively. Caden Smith had 1 catch. Dion Lewis had 1 catch. And Ratley, is it Darius Ratley? I think it is. What is it?
I have the Damian Ratley.
Damian Ratley, thank you. Yeah,
they got from the Browns, I believe.
Yeah, 1 catch. That's it. Jones did not throw down the field hardly at all.
No.
The longest catch was to Ratley for 29 yards. That's it. Daniel Jones just a dismal line. 17 of 32, 179 yards, and a pick. The Giants get a cold hard F for this game on Sunday. That's what the report card says. So, the first 2 weeks looked promising. This was disgusting. This was just outright awful. Hopefully, we don't see a performance like this against the Rams. But if we can't even compete at all with a team that was without 10 of its starters, I don't know how you can say we're going to compete with the Rams next week or any other teams going forward.
Where are the wins coming from? I mean, we keep saying it, but where? I really don't see. Maybe the Washington football team. Maybe.
I would hope the Giants could win that.
Other than that, where are the wins coming from? We're playing the Rams. We're playing the Cowboys. We're playing the Bucs. We're playing the Cardinals. We're playing Seattle. I mean, where are the wins coming from? We have to play the Ravens. We got to play Joe Burrow.
We got to play the Browns.
We have to play the Browns.
This is a brutal schedule.
Where are the wins coming from? Where? And you know what? Honestly, if you think about it, I know it's kind of crazy and obviously it's a little early, but if the Giants have the first overall pick, do you think they'll take Trevor Lawrence with that first pick?
This is going to depend on how Daniel Jones does going forward. Because honestly,
if Jones keeps playing like this,
I was going to say,
do you think they would go to Daniel Jones? Trevor Lawrence. Because it looks like right now it's going to come down between either the Giants or the Jets, who we'll talk about them in a little bit, to get that first overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, between the Giants and the Jets, it's literally the battle for the number 1. Which team's worse? I mean, they both are. So they're, but do the Giants take Trevor Lawrence? It's such a tough decision. I think honestly, if you're Joe Judge, if Daniel Jones keeps having bad weeks, like he had last week, why not experiment, since the season's likely already out the window, and it will be. Why not experiment with Colt McCoy? In the later,
I don't know about that. That's a different scenario.
That's a dire situation.
That's kind of like a Geno Smith benching Eli to put in Geno Smith. You know what you're going to get out of Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy is a backup QB.
No, he is.
It's different. It's different for Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence is regarded as the next big thing in the NFL.
Don't worry, I meant that as a dire scenario. I'm really hoping it would never get to that. Goodness, because Jones was our first round draft pick, our number. And think about number 6.
Think about what you're doing to his confidence if it did get to that point and you bench him for Colt McCoy.
Yeah,
that would just make things even worse. And it's only week 3, and we're talking about this already.
Yeah, but
just something to think about, because right now the Giants, like I said, where are the wins coming from? It's going to be between them and the Jets for the first pick right now. I mean, they are horrible. And it's crazy because the Giants are only 1 game out of, or half a game, whatever it is, 1 game out of first place.
Yeah, the NFC East, look, the last 3-4 years, 3 years, we've been saying how bad this division is. It is.
I think it's
even
rock
worse.
Bottom.
It is.
It's hit rock bottom.
It is on a whole nother level of colossal failure, because the Dallas Cowboys they're lucky to be 1-2 as it is. With that,
they should not have a win.
No, they should not.
Atlanta never should.
Yeah, Atlanta never should have come back. The Cowboys out of sorts right now. And it's amazing because they have, on paper, a really good offense. but they can never put it together. The Eagles, they tied against the Bengals this past weekend, which, a tie? I love how Doug Peterson, after the game, was like, well, we'd rather go for the tie than, go for it on, 4th and 12 with 19 seconds left. Like, why not? Go for the win. Like, why? Why not try? And for the Washington football team, the Eagles are actually that bad because they blew.
It's unbelievable.
They
how
blew
bad
a 17.
The Eagles are.
Yeah, they blew a 17-point lead in that game in the first half, and Washington stormed back to a 27-17 victory. And ever since, they've had nothing going. Losses to Arizona and Cleveland. It's very possible, Kenny, that this division winner will be 7-9, or dare I say it, 6-10. And I mean, honestly, as much as the Giants, want to give up right now with how bad, especially this past week was, I mean, Joe Judge, will have the mentality of, still trying to win ball games. And I guess...
Of course he will.
I mean, every coach does, but, I mean, I guess, if the Giants are still in the race, I don't know. Whatever.
I feel like he is the guy, but I think at some point you got to start seeing results. And right now we're not getting them, and we took a major step back on Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, major. And the fact that we're getting the same responses that we've gotten from Pat Shurmur and Ben McAdoo, the last two head coaches for this team, is not a good sign. And he inherited Joe Judge inherited a bad football team. They look better coached. They look like they and sound like they believe in the head coach. But as we saw for the last two head coaches, if you keep losing games, you could lose the locker room. And it's early, but right now, what just happened on Sunday, it's not looking good, and it doesn't look like they're going to win any games anytime soon.
No, it doesn't. Honestly, the only games I could see the Giants winning would be against Washington, and I think they have a chance against Philly and Cincinnati. That's it. That's it. There are no games on this schedule that I feel confident even saying the Giants can win, Kenny. And like you said, gosh, I hope 0-16 isn't in the cards. I don't think it is, but still. It's frustrating. What a huge step back for the New York Giants. Update while I have the floor here. The Toronto Blue Jays, Bo Bichette scored on a sac fly, but a line out to Willie Adames to end the inning. But the Blue Jays do scrape across a run. It's 3-1. They're going to the bottom of the eighth in Tampa. And, of course, the Yankees still up 2-0, top of the third. Runner at first, 2 outs, Luke Voit at the plate. But, yeah, Kenny, the Giants, I never really gave you a clear response about, Trevor Lawrence. It depends how Daniel Jones does. And honestly, the Giants could use someone of his caliber, with or without Jones. But it is, as we watch a Luke Voit ball just go right down the right field line, just foul. Oh, could have been 4-0 right there. But
it was close.
Yeah, it's a consideration though for Trevor Lawrence. Definitely is. And if you're the Giants right now, you honestly have to just look for like little moral victories, As
what
sad,
moral victory are you going to get out of Sunday?
I was gonna say,
Graham Gano going 3 for 3 on field goals.
That's a little something, but no, I'm talking about in general, like just going forward, because the Giants just we both don't see them competing in any game. So I guess
Well, I don't want to say not competing in any games. They're not going to win.
True.
A lot of games.
Right.
If any.
You're right. They can compete.
If any.
Yeah, they can compete. But as for, winning games, that's a highly
I almost feel
unlikely.
like just whenever I go home again, just pull out the Super Bowl DVDs and just watch those for a couple hours, because this team is pathetic. It's just we've come so far from that last championship. We look like a completely different team, and we just stink. I mean, they are so bad. And some of these guys I think should be gone after this year. I think Golden Tate, he was a waste of time. I think they should get rid of him after this year somehow. And Luke Voigt just hits a bomb to left center field, and that's going to get down.
That will get Aaron Hicks home,
and
it
then
looks
he
like.
looks like he's hobbling around third.
Ooh, just gets home there.
And yep, he's in. Yankees are up 3-0 now.
We'll see about Aaron Hicks there. I agree, Kenny. A little bit of a hobble coming around third base there.
Yeah, well,
hopefully he's all right.
No
though.
surprise there if he checks out of the game. You know,
yeah,
him being injury prone. Surprisingly, he wasn't injured this year.
So Luke Voigt continues his really good
3-0 over Shane Bieber. I mean, that is huge, and hopefully they keep it up because So let's
watch Hicks there. A little bit slow. That's odd. It wasn't that close at the plate either, but he
that's
did
big.
get home in time.
Two out double, 3-0 Yankees, top of the third. But anyway, so as I was saying with the Giants, Golden Tate, I think they should somehow get rid of him, trade him to a contender because it doesn't seem like it's working out with him. It's early, but he hasn't looked great since becoming a Giant. Evan Ingram, listen, the guy is young, and I think the Giants could definitely get some value for him. He just doesn't look right, and he looked a lot better with Eli Manning as the quarterback. Him and Daniel Jones just don't seem to be on the same page. I don't know if that's just me, but the guy's young, and I think a team could definitely use somebody like him if he was ever put on the trade block. Those are two guys I think the Giants should trade. Now, that's half the Giants' receiving core, but, I mean, these guys don't look like they are doing anything. Slayton has the best connection with Daniel Jones right now. You got to build a team around them, and obviously when Barkley comes back next year, if they don't trade him like I think they should. But, I mean, they're just a terrible team. And now like I said before, they brought in Alfred Morris, so now you got Alfred Morris, Devontae Freeman, Dion Lewis, and Wayne Gallman. That would be a great backfield if it was 2016, but for 2020, it's dreadful. It's dreadful. Let's see what happens when they play the Rams, and it's definitely going to get ugly against the Rams. But who knows? So you know what? With that, I think we'll take a quick break right before the top of the hour, the 8 o'clock hour. When we come back, we'll touch upon the rest of the games from another jam-packed NFL Sunday, and talk about last night's game between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and that'll take us right about around 8:40 when we end the show tonight. So we'll be right back here on Infinite Sports Radio.
You know, everyone said Chiefs-Ravens was going to be the game of the year. Yeah, not quite.
All right, Rodgers in shotgun with the back lined up to his right on 3rd and 10 from the 25. Come on, Rodgers. Come on. Nice pocket going way downfield. Has a man wide open to the 20. Down to the 10. Lazard inside the 5. Woo! There we go. Lazard made up for that one, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
And as you heard from the great Tom Grossi, who just made his second appearance on Sunday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers.
Tom, that was a great promo, by the way. Hats off to you for making SNF for a second time. Hats off.
I know, it's unbelievable. It really is. And obviously he just reached the milestone a few weeks ago of 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And hopefully we can have him on again soon. Definitely within the coming weeks. But right now, the Green Bay Packers are 3-0, defeating the team that we both picked to win the Super Bowl last week, the New Orleans Saints, 37-30. And Aaron Rodgers looked great again. And even without Devontae Adams, that did not slow down this Packers team. When you look at the stat lines, especially for Allen Lazard, who last season was signed by the Packers, was an undrafted free agent, had a big game, 6 receptions for 146 yards and a touchdown. I mean, the Packers looked amazing on Sunday night. They really did. Aaron Rodgers going 21-32, 283 yards and 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones was kind of kept in check for the most part, but he was able to get 69 yards on the ground and the touchdown. The Packers, they look like the best team in the NFC right now. next to the Seattle Seahawks. Right now, it comes down between Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. I think right now they're 1 and 2 for the MVP. With, I guess you could say, Josh Allen and, of course, Patrick Mahomes after last night going 3 and 4. But, I mean, the Packers look great. They look like a different team offensively. Aaron Rodgers looks like the Aaron Rodgers that we have seen for pretty much his whole career. Not the last couple of years, obviously. But he looks like he's on a mission, especially after the Packers drafting Jordan Love in the first round. It looks like it has lit a fire under Rodgers, and let's see where it goes, because Packers right now look like the team to beat in the NFC. The defense needs to straighten itself out a little bit. Kenny Clark was out again, their defensive tackle. Their defense looks terrible right now, especially how they couldn't tackle Alvin Kamara, who had a monster game on Sunday. But right now the Packers look good.
Kenny, you're absolutely right. Aaron Rodgers is a man on a mission right now. The Packers, under Matt LaFleur, I think the graphic...
16 and 3.
Oh, I thought it was 18 and 3. Oh, 16 and 3.
Well,
I guess you're right.
16 and 3 in terms of the regular season. If you want to count the divisional matchup last year against Seattle, he'd be 17 and 4.
Right. Okay.
It's his overall record.
Yeah, no.
But in the regular season, 16 and 3.
But this was a great game for the Green Bay Packers. Everything was clicking. Once again, Aaron Rodgers, multiple touchdowns. 21 for 32 with 283 yards, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones on the ground, 69 yards with a touchdown. Allen Lazard, what a night, especially that deep bomb, as we heard from the great Tom Grossi.
He had a couple of deep bombs to Lazard.
Yeah, 146 yards on a touchdown and 6 catches. Also, good to see Robert Tonyan getting involved with a touchdown.
And everybody
and Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes Lewis,
names
Robert Tonyan, Jay Sternberger, who's got Jordy's number now, 87. So you know what? Hey, everybody got involved the other night.
Yeah, you know, names that you generally don't hear on a night in, night out for the Packers. This was a great game for them. And how about that Alvin Kamara touchdown, by the way? That was unreal.
Unreal. That was just really bad tackling. At that point, when that happened, I thought it was over for the Packers. I thought the Saints were going to eventually come out with the victory, but the Packers won a huge game, and this was a huge test for them because obviously they went up against Minnesota, who's 0-3 now, going up against the 0-3 Houston Texans, which might be compromised due to a coronavirus outbreak on the Tennessee Titans side, with multiple players and coaches testing positive for the coronavirus. But it doesn't seem like that's going to have any effect on the games because the Steelers are scheduled to play the Titans on Sunday, but the NFL just said that it seems like it's going to go as planned on Sunday. As for the Texans and the Vikings, we have no idea. The Vikings have shut down their facilities. The Titans have shut down their facilities until Saturday. Vikings, I think, shut their facilities down until Thursday, so everything's going to be all virtual. So that's going to be tough, obviously, without practicing. But, yeah, so the Packers going up against the Vikings the first week. The defense for the Vikings looks lost. Kirk Cousins looks terrible. Obviously played a better game on Sunday. And then going up against the Detroit Lions, killing them, dropping 40 points on them. And then the Lions turning around and beating Kyler Murray, who a lot of people were saying, you know, Cardinals could be a dark horse, and they still very well can be, but that was definitely a tough loss for them. So with those two teams that the Packers beat, you know, this was their first test to see how well they match up against some of these better NFC teams. And they delivered. And Aaron Rodgers, like I said before, it looks like Aaron Rodgers again. And he's got the deep ball again, which is something that was absent from this offense last year. And it's back, and this was without Devontae Adams, which was huge. That they were able to go on the road against the Saints, obviously without any crowd noise, which definitely played a role, and come away with the victory. It can't say how huge it was, and you know the schedule gets a little bit tougher as the season goes on, but you know what? Right now, that was a huge victory for them. And as for the Saints, tough loss for them. Drew Brees definitely played better. But again, just doesn't push the ball downfield, which was definitely the difference in the game. And really the momentum shifter in the game was when Taysom Hill was under center and he fumbled the ball. Before that, the Packers went for it on 4th and 1, didn't get it at about the 49-yard line. And that's when I thought the Packers really weren't going to win the game. And then Taysom Hill fumbled the ball. Zadarius Smith recovered it, and the Packers were able to get 3 points from that. And 7 points from that. And then they got the field goal to tack on the extra 3. And then the Saints got a field goal right before the end of the game to try to go for the onside and get it back to try to score a touchdown with about 20 seconds left, which didn't happen. But that was a huge win for the Packers. Definitely got to shore some things up on the defensive side of the ball. But a great performance by Aaron Rodgers. And listen, they went 4-0 without Devontae Adams last year. So if he comes back and they're still winning games, this offense is really scary.
Yeah, and boy, did they, have a great game on Sunday. Packers, like we said, Kenny, 3-0. I think it's, fair to say that they could potentially be an NFC championship team. I think it's definitely possible. And by the way, quick update. Jose Ramirez down the line RBI double for the Cleveland Indians. It's now 3-1 Yankees, bottom of the third. Indians still have second and third with 2 outs as Garrett Cole deals a strike 3 to Carlos Santana.
You're like a millisecond ahead of me. But thank God that happened. Oh, that was getting very scary.
So that ends the inning. That was a little scary indeed for the Yankees. So 3-1, they're headed to the 4th inning on ESPN. But yeah, Kenny, the Packers and the Seahawks, you know what? I was telling you about this, just yesterday. It could be a rematch of the 2015 NFC Championship.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, I know. All Packers fans obviously don't want to be.
Well, hopefully that's in Lambeau this time because believe it or not, Aaron Rodgers has never hosted an NFC Championship. In the 4 NFC Championships that he has been in, he's 1-3, and they were all on the road.
Yep.
So hopefully that changes, and this time it's at Lambeau Field, and hopefully there'll be some capacity of fans in the stadium if it does get to that point. Because obviously it's week 3, anything can happen. So I just got to keep my emotions in check. But this was definitely a game that I didn't expect the Packers to win, and they did it. Aaron Rodgers did it. He was the better quarterback on Sunday, though Drew Brees did have better stats from obviously just looking at it from a statistical standpoint. But the Packers are legit. I think it's safe to say that. And, hey, they play Tom Brady in a couple weeks, which I am really excited for that. Might be the last time these two guys go against each other. And it's not that often that they play against each other. They're 1-1 against each other. So this is definitely the match point, as I use a tennis reference.
Good reference. That is a good reference. I like that.
I mean, it was
you're right.
Kind of stupid, but first thing that came to mind.
Unless it's the playoffs, yeah. This could very well be the last time we'll see Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady going against each other. A little sad to think about, but it's definitely a possibility. Update quickly in the Toronto-Tampa Bay game. So the Blue Jays have a runner at second now with 2 outs, but just a short while ago, as Teoscar Hernandez was at the plate facing Pete Fairbanks. On a 3-2 count, he let a 90-mile-an-hour fastball right down the heart of the plate almost, and no effort from Hernandez to try and swing at it. And right as I say that, Joe Panic, a shallow pop fly, and this game is a final. So the Tampa Bay Rays defeat the Toronto Blue Jays by a score of 3-1. That's the third of 4 wildcard games to complete today, and also the first home team victory, the Tampa Bay Rays.
That's right.
Win 3-1. Game 2 will be tomorrow at 4 o'clock on TBS. But as we were saying, though, what were we saying?
Before
this, I lost my train of thought.
The Packers, Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. No. I lost my train of thought.
Possibly coming down between
Brady and Breeze. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Brady and Breeze. Yes, thanks for the reminder.
Something around there.
These are two of the NFL's faces. Ever since, the late 2000s and on, Aaron Rodgers has become one of the faces of the NFL. And obviously Tom Brady, ever since he took over for, Drew Bledsoe in 2001, what a great career for him as well.
Did you also see Rodgers' no-look pass the other night?
Yes, I think so. Who was it to again?
I think it was to Robert Tonyan, the tight end, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. I think that was the Robert Tonyan touchdown.
It wasn't a touchdown, but it was just a regular no-look pass. Well, I mean, now when you got Mahomes in the NFL, no-look passes are a premium.
Honestly,
if that's the right word to use.
Yeah, and speaking of which, Kenny,
which shows that Aaron Rodgers, when we talk about Patrick Mahomes, just remember Aaron Rodgers in these first 3 games, like I said, still got it. And that's why I would love the dream Super Bowl for me this year would be the Chiefs against the Packers. Something that we got last year, but obviously Mahomes the week before sustained an injury and he was out, so we had to deal with Matt Moore versus Aaron Rodgers, not Mahomes versus Rodgers, and we were very close to getting it in the Super Bowl, and the 49ers ruined that. So maybe we'll get it this year, maybe. But
yeah, you never know. And Kenny, speaking of Patrick Mahomes, why don't we take a look at the Monday night game, actually? A lot of hype about the Chiefs-Ravens game being the game of the year. Well, it certainly was not the game of the year.
One of the people in our spread pool had the total score at 81 before this game started.
81?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I didn't think it was going to be that high, but I had 58, so I came close. But
we didn't win the week, though.
Yeah, I know. That's the unfortunate part. Patrick Mahomes, 5 total touchdowns last night for the Kansas City Chiefs. 1 rushing, 4 passing. 1 to Mecole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, Anthony Sherman, and Eric Fisher. I love it when the O-line gets involved in touchdowns. That's awesome.
Also, he was the first first overall pick to catch a touchdown since Keyshawn Johnson.
Wow. That's a stat. I didn't even
Credit to Adam
that.
Schefter. Saw that on Twitter.
Oh, that's great. We love Schefter. Wow, that's a really interesting stat. I never even
I had to think about that for a little bit.
Yeah, that's wow. So Patrick Mahomes is just so special. What a talent. 31 of 42, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, and like I said, that 1 rushing touchdown. I mean, there were a couple plays last night. They weren't huge plays, but at one point, I think it was like 3rd and 6, he was scrambling to the left side. It looked like the pocket was closing. There were defenders all around him.
Yeah, and he
throws a beautiful sidearm to Travis Kelce for like 12 yards. It's like, oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. I mean, I think last night the Chiefs proved to us that, hey, just because we came off of a shaky game against the Chargers last week doesn't mean that we still can't be the best team in the NFL this year. And the Chiefs have all the pieces again to go all the way. They were going to be my Super Bowl pick from the beginning of the season. I said Chiefs. I wasn't really sure about the NFC, but I decided on the Saints. Obviously, that wasn't a good pick. The Saints
but it's still early, though.
It's
early.
Still early. It is early. Saints do look in a little bit of trouble.
But I definitely want to pull back on the Saints and throw the Packers in there. But I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
As of right now.
Yep.
And Gardner hitting one to left center. That's off the wall.
That's going to bring, was that Gleyber Torres?
I think so.
Yes, it was. Gleyber Torres
4-1 Yankees.
RBI double from Brett Gardner. How about that? This is amazing. Has a team scored 4 runs that often against Shane Bieber this year? I don't think so.
Know. We'll have to go back and look.
We'll have to do a little deep dive here. But yeah, Brett Gardner, a great drive into left center, a little elevated pitch, got enough contact, drove it out there, and right, it bounces right off the base of the wall, and RBI double, 4-1 Yankees in the top of the 4th. Of course, that game again on ESPN. But as for the Chiefs, though, Kenny, what an explosive offense they had. And the Ravens could do absolutely nothing for the majority of the first half last night and the majority of the game. Lamar Jackson, 15 of 28, 97 yards and a touchdown. His only saving grace to his stats was the 83 yards he had on the ground. Of course, one of the best running quarterbacks in the league, alongside Mahomes is also a pretty good rusher too. When he gets forced to run out, but this was a sad game for the passing. J.K. Dobbins had 38 receiving yards. Mark Andrews, 22 yards. He dropped an open touchdown pass in the end zone. Marquise Brown, 13 yards. Miles Boykin, 8 yards. It was a sad, sad night for the Ravens in the passing department. The only thing was that Nick Boyle touchdown that the Ravens had in, I believe
that was
it was
a bad play by the Indians.
Yeah, and I believe it was the start of the second half. Yes, that was a bad play. They should have gotten the out there.
I don't know what
third.
Lindor is thinking throwing to third base.
Yeah, let's take a look at the replay. Obviously, that was Higashioka there. Lindor, that was a little bit of a low throw there for sure.
I mean, if
good contact by
if Ramirez
Higashioka.
catches that, they do get Gardner at third.
They do.
But
Likely. Otherwise, good contact there for.
So I
from,
was going through
Kyle
before you
Higashioka.
get back to your point. I was going
Yes.
through. There's a couple games this season where Bieber has given up 3 earned runs.
Oh yes, any 4.
Still looking.
All right, you keep.
But
looking.
go back to your.
But the Ravens last night looked like a
Ravens point.
team. Yeah, the last night the Ravens looked like a team that still needs to find their identity. We thought after what were basically dominating wins over Cleveland and Houston, a lot of people were thinking that the Ravens would win this game last night. They were favorites in the spreads. A lot of people, were riding on the Ravens, and they did not show up last night. Look, and obviously their defense is overall, it's good, but what a nice diving stop.
Oh my God!
What a diving stop.
Oh, but
too bad it was safe.
and
Yankees
what is it? Is
score.
that 5-1 now?
Yes, Brett Gardner scores. It's
Wow.
5-1. Who made that? Was that Lindor again?
That was Lindor. Yes.
That was an unreal stop. Yeah, hang on. I know. We'll get back to the NFL.
Well, who just hit that?
Let's look at this replay. That was DJ LeMahieu.
That was LeMahieu. Okay.
Bouncer over Bieber's head at second base. Lindor snags it as he falls to the ground. What a stop. I mean, unfortunately, with, it took a little time, of course, for him to get up. And LeMahieu was fairly fast in general. Could not get the throw to Santana there at first. And now Aaron Judge up to the plate. Yankees have first and second. One out is now 5-1. They are starting to pour it on a little bit. Hopefully they can keep it up. But yes, for the Ravens, they did not show up to play. Obviously against the Chiefs offense, which is so explosive, it's hard, when your defense, for any defense, to stop a team like the Chiefs, because they are just so good with, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's doing great now out of the backfield. He's getting some receptions. Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman got involved last night. I mean, it's amazing. And of course, when you have Patrick Mahomes at the helm too, that helps. That helps just a little bit. But this was a sad effort by the Ravens, honestly. And like I said, they're a team that needs to figure some things out. Like, what can they do going forward with the passing game after what was a really subpar night? I mean, there's some questions that need to be answered here, and they just didn't show up last night. Everyone thought this was going to be, the game of the year, and it was not. The only time the Ravens had some momentum was when they cut it to 7 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Otherwise, this was Kansas City's game almost all the way throughout. So, unfortunate loss for the Ravens. Chiefs are now 3-0 to start the season. They play the New England Patriots at home next week, which will be actually quite an interesting matchup. Aaron Judge in a throw and count. You know what? Let's crank up our audio here from ESPN, and we'll let Matt Vasgersian and Alex Rodriguez give you the commentary on the game. Judge in a 3-2 count here with one out in the top of the fourth inning. You heard a little commentary there from ESPN. And a swing and a miss at a pitch a little bit low in the zone. Fifth strikeout for Shane Bieber tonight.
Yeah,
Two
so
down.
I was looking at his stats, and he hasn't given up no more than 3 earned runs this year in a start, which is crazy. And I believe all the runs tonight were earned. I don't think any of them were unearned, unless that play by Lindor earlier in the inning counted as an unearned run. Yankees have really hit Bieber tonight, and that's huge. And being up 5-1 now in the fourth inning with your ace on the mound, it's huge. And a lot left to be played. It's only the fourth inning, but
yeah, indeed, a lot of ball game left to be played for sure. As Aaron Hicks is at the plate with 2 on and 2 out. Yankees, of course, looking to add on to what they have here.
Well, I kind of do want to just give my take on the Ravens and the Chiefs.
Go ahead.
We've talked about this a lot. The Ravens are that team that they need to be ahead. And that did not happen last night. This was a statement game for Lamar Jackson. This was a show that he can hang around with Patrick Mahomes and get into shootouts with him and, finally get a win against him. And that did not happen last night. Because after the Ravens lost to the Chiefs and the Browns last season, the Ravens were a different team. Lamar Jackson was phenomenal last season. But, again, what really showed how different these two players are is in the playoffs. The Ravens go down early against the Tennessee Titans, and they're down big, and Lamar Jackson can't bring them back because of his inability to produce big plays down the field, and them being a run-heavy offense. That takes up a lot of time, and you got to get big plays in a hurry, which is why when you look at the Chiefs going down 24-0 against Houston, after they get that first touchdown, the Chiefs are coming back. And that's why Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL right now. That's why there really is no discussion on who's the better player. It's Patrick Mahomes, and he proved it yesterday. And this Ravens defense, I think, is better than last year's. When you add Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell on the defensive line, you thought they'd be able to apply a little bit more pressure, because that was definitely absent for the Ravens last season, letting a lot of guys go like Terrell Suggs and Zadarius Smith and C.J. Mosley. They brought some pass rush back, but that really didn't do anything because Patrick Mahomes carved them up. And they could have had 30 points in the first half if it wasn't for Butker missing an extra point and a field goal. By the way, wasn't the over-under for this game 54.5?
Yes, it was. What a bad beat.
Yeah, so you wonder, did he miss those on purpose? Because Butker is usually automatic.
Yeah, Harrison Butker, not good if you were a fantasy owner of him. Hint, hint, that's me. But I won my matchup anyway, so I didn't have to worry about it. Harrison Butker, yeah, that is an odd off night for him, as he missed a couple extra points and a field goal. So not really like Harrison Butker to have a night like that. 2-2 to Aaron Hicks, swing and a miss at a pitch way out of the zone.
Of course,
down low. Yankees end the inning, but they tack on 2 more runs. It's 5-1 heading to the bottom of the fourth.
That's huge for them, answering the Indians run in the bottom of the second.
Yep, Brett Gardner and
or bottom of the third. Sorry,
Brett Gardner knocking home that run, of course, with that RBI double off the wall, and then DJ LeMahieu with that infield single after Lindor tried his best to throw it over to first after that incredible dive. Kenny, I guess while we are here for a little bit longer tonight, let's jump around the league and look into some of the scores from week 3. It's hard to believe, already through 3 weeks of the NFL. It goes by so quick. You got to enjoy these games,
I know.
while they're on. The biggest takeaway from Week 3 is that the Atlanta Falcons could honestly be 3-0 right now, but instead, they find themselves at 0-3.
I think 2-1. I think Seattle, they were kind of always out of that game. They definitely could have won the past two.
Yeah,
But
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
yes,
actually, I
they
guess
could-
Seattle. Yeah.
but Matt Ryan, if it wasn't for the Falcons being horrendous, he could be up there as an MVP candidate.
Oh, he could.
He's
He could.
playing amazing right now.
The Falcons' defense is so bad, and these are 2 weeks back to back now that the Falcons choked in a huge way. They allowed 20 fourth quarter points to the Chicago Bears on Sunday. Now look, Mitchell Trubisky was benched and Nick Foles came in. And Nick Foles was able to land his spot in the starting role now in Chicago. He will be the Chicago Bears' next starting quarterback. He went 16 of 29, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. But the Falcons, goodness, they are notoriously known now for blowing leads. From the Super Bowl to these past 2 weeks, it's atrocious, unfortunately. If you're a Falcons fan right now, you were definitely thinking, 2-1, here we come. And then you blow a 20-point lead to Dallas and then a 16-point lead to Chicago. It's frustrating. And honestly, Dan Quinn is on the hot seat, I believe.
Well, he's been on the hot seat. He should be fired.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
They finished strong last season, and I think Sunday was the breaking point. I think it was more so that the Falcons' defense is bad, rather than Nick Foles was amazing. I could be wrong, but I'm taking the Colts next week against the Bears.
Yep. I definitely.
But don't take my advice because I'm not good at picking.
I definitely think
games, so.
I definitely think that's a fair pick, Kenny. I agree. I like that the Bears are getting the points, though. I will say that. But yeah, for the Falcons, this is painful. To blow double-digit leads back-to-back weeks, and I don't even know how you can really come back from it, because the team's got to feel terrible. I mean, what a tough stretch for this Atlanta team. In other games around the league, the LA Rams and the Buffalo Bills got into a shootout. That was a great game to watch at the end.
Just want to point out, getting the Sunday ticket with the student discount here was worth it.
Yep, and that is a high drive deep to
gone.
right center. Naylor knocks one out. It's 5-2 Yankees. Wow, that was a bomb to deep right center field. So Indians creeping back a little bit. Yep, now 5-2. Oh, we'll see if that gets them anywhere. Nice shot by Naylor. This was a tale of two halves, though. The Buffalo Bills up at the half, 28-3 over the LA Rams. Josh Allen, by the way, 24-33, 311 yards and 4 touchdowns. Unbelievable how he's played through these first 3 weeks. Been a great QB to watch. On the other side, Jared Goff, 23-32, 321 yards and 2 touchdowns with a pick. 28-3, though, at half, the Bills were up. And then the Rams were able to get all the way back with 29 unanswered. And it was 32-28. And down the stretch, the Bills had a 4th and 9 at about the 15-yard line with about 20 seconds left. Pass interference is called on Bills tight end Tyler Kroft. A very controversial call. It was
That
pretty
costed us
weak.
the win in the spreads.
Yeah, it did. It did. That is a classic
when
Vegas
that happened.
moment.
When that happened, I knew the game was over.
Yep, and the Bills ended up winning this game. That call was, I didn't like it personally. I thought it was a little weak for a pass interference call, but
And they took away the rule, so now you can't review it. So
Right.
it didn't even matter.
there was some contact, but I didn't think there was enough to call for a penalty. So unfortunate, possibly for the LA Rams, who could have walked out up or with a
This was
3-0
definitely a
record.
game that I expected the Bills to lose. I thought, they're riding high. Now they're playing against a team that's experienced. Obviously, this is a team that went to the Super Bowl a few years ago in the Rams. But the Bills came out with the victory, and it was a huge win for them.
This just told us, I think, that the Bills are a legitimate threat. They can definitely cause some headaches in the AFC this year. And
They do play Kansas City on Thursday night. I'm not
that will be
sure.
week 6.
Week 6. Okay, so in a couple of weeks.
Or is it week 5? Week 6. Week 6, yeah.
That'll definitely make up for the
Jets
underwhelming
this Thursday.
Thursday night games that we have seen over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and goodness, Jets Broncos this coming Thursday. Lord help us. Otherwise, the Bengals and the Eagles ended up in a tie, 23-23. The Eagles and the Bengals are both.
They did it in the most Eagle-Bengal way.
Yeah. That was a very odd way to end that game. Garrett Cole strikes out.
I was
Roberto
just praying it would not
Perez.
end in a tie, and of course, another year, another tie.
Yep,
which is unfortunate.
7 strikeouts for Garrett Cole tonight as Roberto Perez
He looks pretty good.
goes down
He
swinging.
looks really good. Other than those 2 runs that he gave up, he's looked solid tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Just gotta hope when he gives it over to the bullpen that the bullpen's able to lock it down.
Steven Gostkowski, 6 field goals for the Tennessee Titans. He's really redeemed himself after that week 1
Oh my
gaffe.
God.
Titans ended up winning 31-30 on a game-winning field goal, no less. Vikings are 0-3. A little bit shocking, I think. But their
Them and the Titans are going. The Texans.
Yes,
Battle of the 0-3s. That's going to be a huge game.
on Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, if it does happen. But
Right, there. Yeah, that's right.
I think it will happen, though.
Yeah, there have been a couple
it should happen.
COVID cases in the Titans organization. They are shut down until Saturday. Game is scheduled to go on as scheduled on Sunday. If necessary, they'll bump it to Monday night, but it doesn't sound likely at the moment. Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way, they're 3-0. They beat the Texans 28-21. James Conner, 18 carries, 109 yards with a touchdown. Big Ben looked pretty good, 23-36, 237 yards and 2 touchdowns. Steelers won that game, 3-0. I think they're looking like a pretty promising
They're in
team
first
themselves.
place.
The New York Jets are just as bad now as the New York Giants, but they're worse. Let's be honest. They are worse. Colts blowout, 36-7. This wasn't even a game. No need to go into stats on that. The LA Chargers had a shot to win against the Carolina Panthers at the end. They did some laterals, but Austin Eckler couldn't hang on and got out of his reach. And I tell you what, Kenny, if Eckler hung onto that ball, the Chargers had a shot at the end zone.
I know, 'cause
it was possible.
Because that play happened so fast, once we saw it from that other angle, I didn't realize how there was nobody in that corner of the end zone. And he could have very well scored.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
And they got a tough matchup coming up this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes, that
who
will
defeated the
definitely-
Broncos 28-10. The Broncos just are in a downward spiral at this point with the injuries that they have sustained over the first couple of weeks. And, the final 2 games, obviously Kyler Murray losing to the Detroit Lions, the Cardinals losing 26-23. Big win for the Lions. Definitely keep them
broke
afloat.
their 11-game losing streak.
That's right. And they got a big game coming up against the Saints. And then, of course, Russell Wilson, 5 more touchdown passes to beat the Cowboys, 38-31.
MVP. Right now, I'm calling it. Russell Wilson's off to a hot start. I don't really think anyone's touching him right now, personally, for MVP, honestly. I really
Like
don't
I
think
said,
so.
him and Aaron Rodgers, 1 and 2.
It's amazing. It really is. Something else. Russell Wilson's on a whole nother level of greatness. And then finally, Broncos are a mess. Bucks and Brady, they ran all over them. Brady 3 touchdowns, 297 yards. Bucks 28-10. And those
Mike Evans, 2 receptions, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns.
how about that? How about that?
Very interesting
Yeah, Mike Evans
statistic.
Yep, two catches and 2 touchdowns. Not bad at all. And
for 2 yards.
yeah, and those are your week 3 headlines.
All right, and I think that'll bring us to an early finish for tonight. So that's all the time we got for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Tuesday. Once again, same time, same place for the full 2 hours. Hopefully the Yankees finish off the Indians tonight. It'll be a huge win for them. But that's all we got. So have a good night. I'm Kenneth Grunfelder along with Ben Upson. Have a good night, and we'll see you next Tuesday night.
And hopefully us Yankees fans will be hearing a lot of this theme down the road.
Yeah, I hope. We'll see.
Have a great night, everybody.